Hi there, welcome. My name is Keaton, creator of Nature Embodied and the Nature Embodied Collective, which is my healing and creative practice, along with opportunities for community connection. And I would love to offer a couple of pick a card readings today. They will be short, but the messages will be a little bit more specific based on the pile that you choose. And each pile has a card, maybe the imagery that you're drawn to, maybe the numbers, whatever symbols are on it. So follow your intuition, and each pile will also have a recommended Reiki healing that is associated with it that I will link in the description. Thank you. So this is the pile selection. So for pile number 1, we have the Child of Visions, which is also known as the Page of Cups, associated with the water element. Here are some of the symbols and colors. And for pile number 2, the Weaver of Boons, and this is the Queen, also known as, and the boons in this deck represents the pentacles, sort of like a little bundle, a little gathering of things. So pile 1 and 2. Okay. Welcome, pile 1, to your message. And we'll just pull these cards out. We've got 4 cards that we're working with, other than the signifier card, which we'll get into at the end, and it'll be kind of like our anchor card that we can call on for support. Any of these cards we can use in a similar way. Tarot is really wonderful. It's, a revered medium by both healers and intuitives, creatives, as anyone who sees the value in the symbolism and how it can weave its way into your life, and deeper messaging and stuff like that. But because of how much energy is generated around these tarot archetypes, we can call them, they're a little bit like, they have the ability to resource us. It's sort of like, could be like an affirmation. You can think about it like that, or almost like a deity. So to call upon the Child of Visions, or the Page of Cups, the sort of initiatory apprentice energy with the water element. So we'll talk about more meaning at the end, but to know that that will be our beginning and our end, our anchor for the message. So we've also got the Ace of Pentacles here, and it's associated with the beginnings, the yes, the initial, with a kind of choice of way that we're moving our body in space, something that we're physically committing to. And it's an acknowledgement of like the richness and the potential, kind of like a seed, like an actual, if you think of like an acorn, it has all the things that it needs to thrive, but it does ask for like the environment to be a certain way, and the nutrients, to keep feeding it, that we can return to it because it matters, because it's like a yes for us. So that is being acknowledged here. So is the Seven of Swords. Oops. Shh, out there, please. Goodness me. The Seven of Swords is also here, and the themes that Seven of Swords brings about on this card is written theft and dishonesty. Sevens are always kind of like stages of us reckoning with something. Maybe something has to go so that something else can come. And I think that it might be another way to, bolster that Ace of Pentacles, that everything that maybe, especially because it has to do with swords, and swords are the element of air, and like our mind, our logic, our thought patterns, that maybe certain things that our mind is used to valuing need to go, because they are a theft of the richness that we can really say yes to. We also have the Seven of Pentacles and another 7. And this has a lot to do with the goals, the potential, like really seeing the bounty of something as possible. And it's a little bit of like an observing stage. And it's another Pentacles card. And so this is very like embodied, like the body will have something to say about this. Like our physical actions have a lot to do with this. And so if we get into like a posture of observing something, maybe something that we are feeling this yes to go forward to it, and see what your body thinks, what you have the energy to do. I think it can also be a little bit of like a pacing yourself and like pruning, and you know, it's again, because it's a 7, it's like not everything from this point is going to go forward with us. Like it's a little bit of like a maturing stage that we get to. And yeah, we've got the symbol of the shovel here, right? Like our body wants to move something in a different way. Like maybe the tools that you work with you can feel a little bit more connected to them as you do the things that are helping to sort of prune this yes, and also to steer away from certain things, or you know, use that to uproot any weeds, I know, as a metaphorical concept. We've got another of the child suit, which is also called the Page. And Page energy is very like, you get so much richness out of a moment when you say like, maybe I don't know everything about this. And it's a really freeing stage. And I have to say, specifically because it has to do with, it's called the challenges in this deck, also known as the swords, or working with the air element. And so it's a bit of a humbling for the mind that, and witnessing the mind when it brings itself back a couple of notches and says, yes, you do have these tools, right? Like as an initiate into using your mind, like you know some stuff. And because the Ace of Pentacles is a little bit leading the way here, we know it's probably about that situation. This thing that you are saying yes to, this thing that you are beginning, that you're saying, yes, this matters and I'm returning to it. And it's a beautiful kind of harmony, because it's an ace, it's a seed, right? And the child, or the page, the initiate in this way, is willing to see that it's a beginning, and that we have so much to learn, and that we don't need to know everything. And this goes hand in hand with the 9 of challenges here, which is a little bit of like looming fear, unknown, and it's in reverse. So I do read it as like more of this sort of self-protective, clinging to the things that maybe make you feel bigger or stronger, and when it might be the guidance to let yourself experience things for the first time, and you know, take all those fears with you. Like it's so normal to have the fear of the unknown and all that stuff, but there kind of is just like also this beauty in and richness and potential. Like if you look closer, like from far away it's like dark looming, and if you look closer, there's like spiders and mushrooms, and there's just like this richness, animism within the landscape. And you know, sometimes we can think about like the nighttime, like the dark sky, as threatening to the mind, because the mind wants to use the structures that it's absorbed to like do that properly, and be as productive as you can be, right? Whatever structures it's absorbing, but it doesn't have to be that way, and we can begin in a new way. And the Page of Swords, or Child of Challenges, is bringing that light to us that maybe this way isn't the thing that I need to be practicing, and maybe it's ideal if I scale it back and embrace the beginning mindset. And our anchor card, the Child of Visions, which I love spiderwebs, and I love spiderwebs specifically with a dew in them, and this has it, which just makes me really happy. And I think that this actually goes hand in hand, that for me, there's so much joy and freedom expressed in this card, but don't take my emotion as what you should be feeling. It's, again, like a beginner's mindset to maybe experiencing the things that are so like juicy and felt, and a little bit like more on the sensual side, like our like sensory awareness can be really playful and really exploratory here, and that it doesn't need to look a certain way. When we think of the page energy, it is our, like the way that a child is born into the world, and they have this curiosity, fair share of fear as well, and feeling like they, want to already be the most mature and all that stuff, and that we can see when all of those like borders of those sheaths, those ways that we see ourselves, need to fall away, and we can return to that spirit that is very willing to experience and be in awe and share an emotional experience, whether it's like, with something, with some sort of element in the world and ourselves, or with ourselves and another person or venture or something. So that is your reading. Thank you so much. If you'd like to stick around for the second pile, feel free. All right, pile 2, where we kick-started things with this card, all this symbolism that may have been drawing you in, whether in addition to pile 1 or on its own. Welcome. And I said the little spiel in the first pile, but we're going to use this as like our anchor, almost like an affirmation that we can return to, or like a resource of energy, that this can help bolster us as we move forward with the message that the pile offers us. So we've got 4 cards here, and let's start here with the Keeper of Spells. This is also known as the King of Wands. And the King of Wands, and I have to say, because this is coming in with like a queen energy, that there is a well of something inside of us, and the king, or the keeper, turns this well into something that is almost like freely given, or it can be like a stage or recognition of a phase that is coming about, where you're a little bit bubbling over with something to give, and there's a lot of trust involved in that. there's a lot, but especially because it is the spell suit, also known as the wands, or associated with the element of fire, that this resource, this well, is a lot to do with kind of the creative energy, the self that is maybe the most luminous and authentic self, the most connected to a kind of creative source of energy, also known as life force energy, that kind of thing. I think that with this you know, it might not feel like abundance all the time, but if an abundance of this creative energy does sort of ask for your attention, float to the surface, the invitation here is to allow it to flow out and find those who, you know, might resonate with that kind of creative expression or that kind of message, whatever flows from this deep place. And this isn't just, you know, creative energy that you want to give for the sake of giving it, but we can feel a little bit more that, oh yeah, this has been brewing, like all like the wisdom and like the body understanding, like the physical energy that I have has been contributing to this, that it can come out in such a way, and continue to feed, you know, yourself as well as others. And this doesn't need to be like a, you know, finally making that painting. It could be, but it could be like organizing trash cleanup in a local green space. Like, you understand that, oh, I've actually developed these skills and I have the energy reserves to do this, and so let's meet that invitation as it comes. And it's not just like it's here and it stays, but like all tarot messaging can be very fluid in how it comes up, but to recognize that if and when it does. Two things in connection with that message that can help frame it a little bit are the Seven of Visions, which is, I love this card, and I have a rather fond connection with it. It's also connected, the visions in this deck is with the water element, also known as the cups, so it's the Seven of Cups, Seven of Visions. And this is where we get into like all of the ideas, like the, oh my gosh, like, you know, you're kind of tapped into something that, you know, akin to like the Keeper of Spells card or the King of Wands, that, wow, like, look at it, it's just all just flowing and I have it, and look at all of these ideas. And then the kind of flip side to having all those ideas is that one is the right one to do and one is the wrong one to do. The black and white thinking that we can get caught up in that, like, or every single one has to be a yes or every single one has to be a full-on no. And the interesting, because it's like a water element card, right? It's not mind discernment necessarily, it's not body discernment necessarily, or even spirit. It's like the emotional flowing and notice it, like being familiar at this point, right? When you get to the 7 number in the pip cards or the number cards, that you are shedding something, and this card comes to show you that like yes, look at this richness, and what is equally as rich is your own discernment system that, you know, in relation to emotions has a lot to do with just like allowing your emotions to be there, and that some endeavors or ideas feel really emotionally charged and some maybe apathetic, and that all of that is very changeable because emotions are cues, like they are truth tellers, but they're not everything, and not everything, you know, has to be a yes. And to support that message, because I feel like we can go a little deeper, is the Two of Wands. And this is the card about getting comfortable with having a yes to something and knowing that it will take time because when you're at the 2, it's that beginning stage, and it witnesses how much like this yes is. We've taken that step from going from the Ace to the 2, where we're beginning to balance all the elements in our reality as best as we can, and that it might not be here very soon. And the Seven of Visions, you know, calls in our emotional discernment to be like, this thing that is something that you set your sights on, right? This fire element in us is like, yes, something is like ready, something is ready to give to us and to others, but it's maybe gonna go through these motions. We're gonna have our feelings about it, and to a little bit like stick with it. And sometimes the Two of Wands calls into question like partnership and influence, because we are maybe partnering with a venture, or it could be a person as well. I very rarely read as if it's about people, but that's just my style. And so that stage where we're starting to influence and enmesh, and that the emotions are going to flow through that process. The last card that's here is the Weaver of Spells. So this is pretty cool that we've got both the King or the Keeper of Wands and the Weaver or Queen of Wands spells in this deck. And right, we were talking so much about spells and how the element of fire and what it has to do with, and we started the whole reading talking about the Weaver, right? This queen energy is knowing that there is something in you, almost like a tidal pool that is generating like, oh, like what a rich experience to go and explore in this little place in yourself where there is it's brewing, right? This stuff that in connection with our creativity and our recognition of how our body digests and you know, brings new energy through us is also key. That inside there is something that almost wants to give to us first, almost be like a little retreat that we can feel into, and it's not like a, you know, physically going to a retreat for a few days and how magical, but that's such an external thing that I don't ever have it again. And the Weavers or the Queens always say like, where do you think that experience comes from? Like, it comes from you. So yeah, that can be an internal, almost like a state, or an invitation from an internal state or collection of resources and skills that we have developed that can connect us deeply. And we've already talked about the King of Wands, so we know kind of what it wants to connect us to a certain degree. And our anchor card, also the Weaver, so bringing in those themes, but it is of Pentacles here, and this card is sometimes called like the nurturer of those who want to nurture. Tripping over those words of like the nurturer of the nurturers, but these ways that we resource ourself so deeply, like with our body and with the body who moves in space, who cares deeply. It's hard to find words, even though I've made it my prerogative to do so. That yeah, this is an invitation to say what deeply nourishes you to your core, because the Pentacles, yes, they have to do with our physicality. It's going to register on a sensorial and physical way, but you know, what is deep caretaking for yourself? Are there areas, when we think of like the spectrum of self-care, that we could be a bit more present with? And it also does nod to like trusting like felt intuition, body intuition, that may be something that calls for you more to kind of retreat into that space in yourself, that ability to do that, and go from there. So that is all of the readings. All of the things that I mentioned in connection to these will be linked below. I'll also, in case you're wondering, the names and creators, artists of these decks, I'll also put that down there. Thank you for your presence here, and I always appreciate the comments or likes or subscribing. It means so much to feel that connection, and hope to see you around lots more.